The professor modified the ship, increasing its speed, but Leela argued that what they needed more was safety, not speed. The two got into an argument, but work still had to go on. The crew started up the ship, but it suddenly lost power and crashed. Luckily, no one was hurt. Leela couldn't stand it and told the professor to buy a new one. As soon as she finished speaking, a worker from the junkyard suddenly showed up and towed the ship away. The professor couldn't bear to part with his old pal. That night, he snuck into the junkyard. The next morning, as the workers prepared to melt the ship down, it suddenly powered up. The professor declared that he'd pay for whatever junk parts he used. The professor flew the ship home, but the troublemaking teens complained it was too slow. The professor immediately challenged them to a race. The modified ship looked fast and instantly left them in the dust, and the teens hurried to catch up. Their race caught the police's attention, and while the kids fled, the professor pulled off a wild drift and vanished. He explained that it was his interdimensional drift. Leela bought a brand new ship. It was extremely safe. They flew the ship out for deliveries. The place was beautiful, but the ship didn't even have windows, so they couldn't see anything. Fry thought it was boring compared to the old days. Leela flew the new ship and encountered the professor, and the two argued again. Neither side would back down, and they decided to settle it with a race. Fry waved the flag to start, but the professor was no match for Captain Leela. Just as she was about to win, the professor activated the interdimensional drift, but miscalculated, slamming straight into Leela at the finish line. The two ships crashed into a big iron pancake. But they weren't dead. They had been transported into a two-dimensional world. The 2D world's king found them and took them in. When the professor explained they were from a three-dimensional universe, the king, having never heard of such a thing, called him a heretic.
Kill him!
The crew panicked and fled back to the ship. Leela suggested trying the drift again. The professor engaged it, and miraculously, it worked. Just as the workers were about to melt down the metal disc, it suddenly expanded and turned into a spaceship, carrying the crew safely back to the real world.
We're back, baby!